G'day, Brett and Harry from the 8-9 Combo. And, well, we have some news, don't we, mate?
Yeah, it's sad news, I think, for the fans of the combo because the we're here to say that the combo as it has been will be different and no more. So we need to tell you why, and so this is basically my explanation, my farewell. As of next week, this week, after a farewell episode in which we'll relive the joys and the celebration and the fun of the two of us building a thing that we call the 8-9 combo, I will no longer be the eight in the 8-9 combo. I'm not saying I don't know what will happen with that combo, whether it'll be a number 8 or a number 10 or a number 2. And this is not the result, as is so often the case when things like this happen, of some sort of creative difference or any friction at all. You and I have never had any conflict in the story. In fact, waking up at weird moments, times of the day, and across the waves, and doing so much, you really get to know a person really well. There's no one that I would trust more, and we've trusted each other on money. We trust each other on when we're not feeling very well and we have to meet a famous guest and we have to pick up each other's slack. It's always been beautiful. So I want to say this: creating the hundreds of shows that we did from the first days of the Roar pod, finding our co-host vibe when we had never actually met each other in person for a while, landing guests like Eddie Jones and Michael Checker that scared the daylights out of us, or just boyhood heroes and current heroes like Rob Lowe and Franz Malherbe, getting better mics, getting better lights, me learning to speak in declarative prose, not fanciful poetry, with muscular verbs and cut-to-itness. Through all that, and the end of that chapter, and then the creation of our own pod, the 8-9 combo, the brand, and accepting that many, many more of you 11,000 or so subscribers like to see us and watch us more than we thought. Like, why? How? So we became, video killed the radio star. We became YouTubers. And this production change also took my role, which was about 40% of the work, down to about 20%, and you had to pick up slack and learn things that you had not learned before. You probably enjoyed. I cannot ever thank you enough for the precise, long, and under the gun production work that you did, often at very odd times, after hiding in blankets to hide your sound, day or night, amid your own work deadlines. And what a ride it's been. A thrill to talk to our heroes, to gain these extra 1,000 subs that came quicker and quicker, and have to explain why every show, to see some shows just blow up far beyond our sub level, 30, 40, 50,000 at times. So why am I departing my weekly 8-9 combo host role if I'm saying that it's so wonderful? I think this is my best explanation. There is an Australian foundation to this show derived from both of our time writing for The Roar, which is currently under ownership battles, and who knows if it will reemerge. You are a proper member of the broadcast community, though, in your own right, someone connected to cricket and rugby and sideline reporting and radio, and I was just more of an essayist and a rugby fixer. I became a professional rugby writer because Tony Harper, and I want to thank him profusely, gave me a shot to pay me to write stuff for The Roar, and I knew I needed to study Australian rugby to talk about it, and I have loved it. Australian rugby is fascinating. At times it's maudlin, magnificent, strange, a bit mad, but it's never boring or inevitable. But for me, rugby has been, is, and will always be South African to me, my bones, my roots, my playing days, my brain-shattering pride, the worst losses and setbacks, but also this green and golden age of dominance for the Springboks, which I'm trying to enjoy with all my might. It's just that the food fight cockfest that was forums like Keo drove me dull and bored and out of the SAFA chat forums into the Aussie forum, and the Roar, where I found an audience. And ironically, a lot of what I wrote, most of what I wrote, the 2.3 million reads, came from my Box or Stormers essays. And then, some forays into Aussie world, but Losing in London, Losing in Wellington, The Place in the Sun trilogy, deeply personal reflections from the Cape of No Hope, Good Hope, Fairest and Unfairest Cape, the best Cape of all, the Lilies of the Field, which grew wild in the trails I ran to be ready to fight on the pitch. That Aussies like to read it. And so they said, come back and stay. And that from that grew the pod called The Roar. And from that, when we realized we had to go our own way, it became 8-9 Combo. I'm going to say this also, Aussie fans around the world, brilliant people to be around, whether online or in Australia or in London, Lyon, LA, Liverpool, Lisbon, wherever I see a guy with a Wallaby jersey, I know we're going to have fun. We're going to have beers. We're going to have coffee. We're going to have aimless, brilliant chattery and fun, even if just to poke holes in my Tain Edmed theory or whatever I've got that's been ridiculous. So, and even though I've made the flight to Australia a couple of times, I've seen East's battle in the rain, I've been live to a Bledisloe, courtesy of you. I've met stalwarts like Shawnee and Chook and Clarkey and Pato and Timmy and Edco and G-Rob and Captain Harry and Ned Hannigan, LSL, Will Guinea, all these guys, thousands more. I'm just a sojourner, a stranger in a strange land, and an observer, like de Tocqueville watching American democracy, an outsider guessing at truths and where it's going to go. I don't know the fourth-string hooker on the Waratahs. I don't know the schoolboy coming up right now in Canberra. And maybe that's why Rugby Australia didn't let me be in the press corps for the Lions tour. That denial, when everyone else did, NZ, Argentina, Ireland, Munster fell, the fucking French, for fuck's sake, acknowledged me as a voice deserving of a media platform. That different point of view in a press conference, it stung me, but I think it told me something, which is there's no way around it. You must pod from a sense of place, and there is no straddling shelf life to the writings of a visitor. So I'd begun a show on YouTube that was focused purely on Stormers and Bulls and Safa and going deep into it. The fifth string hooker, the psychological coach on the Sharks, and just really getting into it. And that actually has had an overwhelming response. And I think not just, from the players and from the coaches, but from the administrators, it allowed me to do the thing I was trying to do with Podland, which was, be invited this week to be embedded with the Stormers at PE, locker room, bus, plane, all of it. Talking to Rassi, talking to Matt Pierce, knowing Motts or Sia or Victor or Tim Cocker and the head writer of Report. And that's really what I had to go to be deeper, because that's the sport I know, that's the game I know, those are the teams I know, those are the players I know, and there's no imposter syndrome. On the home front also, things happened in my family, which meant I needed to streamline my rugby side gig and make things count and be brutally honest with myself. We joke on the show about, chewing up the travel budget. The truth is both of us have spent an inordinate amount of time and money.
There is no travel budget.
Collections and jerseys and travel. Yes. And I've invested a small fortune in building the side gig, and it needs to pay off. And so I owe it to my family that we want to be traveling to 5 to 7 tests a year like we do, but with Mrs. Jones, the love of my life and long-suffering partner to my crimes. So this is best accomplished doing and drawing and composing and writing about the beautiful content of South African rugby going forward, deeply inculcated with that, leaving you to focus a little more on Australian rugby probably. And that's just the way rugby probably rolls in Podland. Just one pod to my name, one writing relationship, stay tuned on that. And time to complete my graphic novel about bears and monks and jockeys and angels of rugby, together with consulting teams, handling scandals, creating scandals, and even representing more clubs and guys in the dock for testicular fiddling. I also want to write the first and only good rugby movie. So see for that as well. And listen, Brad, as you know, I'm 60. People think I'm probably 40, 45. This may shock some of you, but I don't have all the time in the world left to build a brand and cash out. So I do this with a real sadness, and I bid the 8-9 Combo adieu, but I'm sure I'll be a guest on it if it continues. I hope that you'll invite me on for something. And and so I wanted to say that, and it's been a joy of a lifetime to meet all of you and to have your crazy comments, your incredible, strange critique at times. Harry, your right ear is not the same shape as your left ear. That kind of critique was fun.
Yeah. Who's the American guy?
Have you ever had an intelligent thought in your life? That kind of critique was fun too. But for the most part, look, it's been wonderful.
Yeah. And look, I absolutely need to emphasize that from my end, there is no issue with any of this. I completely respect Harry's decision. I fully understand the reasoning and the realities behind it. And there genuinely have been no creative differences. This is just the end of the road. The 8-9 combo was born out of some editorial concerns that we had with the Raw. And at the time, I had endured and continued to have some financial concerns, which I'm really sad to see remain unresolved. But we did bring this together. We've loved every minute of this. More than 300 episodes over 4 seasons together, I've counted up. 190 of them as the 8-9 combo, 90 last season, just under 100 this year. And that's been every week from late January to early December. It's been a lot of work, a lot of dedication to high quality, consistent content that we're really, really proud of. We didn't set out to become YouTubers. We definitely didn't. But I'm really proud, and we're really proud of the way that we adapted, and we added 10,000 subscribers just this year because of that. We're really close. We are so close to 11,000 YouTube subs right now as we speak. But realistically, it's upwards of 15,000 subscribers and followers across the pod platforms, across social media. And we built all of that from scratch. When we went our own way, when the 8-9 combo started, we had nothing. We had zeros everywhere. So we have built it up from absolutely nothing. Is this the end of the 8-9 combo and the concept? Well, not necessarily. I'm going to take the summer to work out what's next, what I really want to do, and how I can best contribute to the local rugby scene, whether that's a more Australian focus, whether this whole idea of a rugby pod without borders can continue. And so co-host or format tweak suggestions are very welcome. I'd actually genuinely love to hear from anyone to hear what they think, and everything is on the table at this point. So we're sad it's come to an end, but we're really happy that it's come to an end while we're still loving it, and not because we've driven each other mad.
That's a good point. We couldn't be happier. We became friends, and know much more about each other's lives and so forth, with good professional distance as well, which allowed us to make good comments and change. We evolved. I think it's maybe cringeworthy to go back and listen to my first episode when I didn't know how to pod and how to say things in a pod way.
I'm going to do that over the summer. I'm going to dig out the first one.
But no, it's been unbelievable to meet people together, waiting. Sort of our first big scary guest, Michael Cheika, waiting for him to call in. Is he going to do it? Will he do it? Well, I don't know. And then now, almost nonplussed about it. Hey, we got John Eales. Let's go. Who cares?
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy. We've got Eddie Jones. Have we got Eddie Jones? We got Eddie Jones. G'day, boys. Yeah. And look, whatever we have done, and whatever comes next, none of it has happened or will happen without you guys out there, the audience. So sincerely, from both of us, we can just say thank you. We'll be back then with the great Brett and Harry finale on Wednesday. So I guess we'll see you then.
The farewell show, a cult classic, perhaps.